Ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
Is everybody ready? Awesome.
David, Beth, Kenosha County Sheriff. And this morning about 8:30, Tom Pearson, who owns a small buffalo farm with 18 head of buffalo, went out to check on his herd, and they were all missing. He just rebuilt a new fence in the back of his pasture, and actually a tree came down on it and released the buffalo outside of his property. So at 8:30, he found they were missing. The sheriff's department was called. People started calling in, and actually several people have hoof marks around their properties where the buffalo went to. And they broke into two herds. A small herd of, I believe it was 8 north or near where the farm is on Double N, and they were able to get 7 of the 8 animals back into the pasture. And we didn't even think that was going to be possible, but some divine intervention there got those 7 animals to walk back into the pasture, and they're secure and safe right now. Another part of the herd broke off and came down to the south, and they crossed 60th Street or K in Kenosha. And what happened is they started going into a wooded area, and it's right on the north side of Paddock Lake. One of our biggest fears was, and the owner, was that they were going to go into more subdivisions and more of an urban area and become more of a risk. The owner's really in tears. He raised these animals from birth or from calves, and this is a very, very difficult situation for him. His major concern, as was ours, was the public safety of this entire time. And it got to the point as the animals, they tried to move them, and buffalo do not herd. They do not move like cattle or horses do. So they will actually splinter off, and that became more of a threat to the public at that point. And the owner made the decision, and truthfully I agreed with it when it came to the public safety, that he had to put down the animals that he could not get back moving toward his farm. So behind me, just over the hill, in the wooded area, are 9 buffalo, ranging in size from yearlings and calves to full-grown cows. And so the owner's back there. He's working in the process to kind of start preparing to clean them up and getting the carcasses out. And he's having this is a very, very hard day for him.
When you say calves, how big is a calf?
The calves that I've seen are probably 300 pounds. The bulls themselves, or the cows themselves, are probably closer to, there's some big ones. There's probably like 1,300 pound buffalo back behind me.
And so if there were 9 here, you mentioned there were 8 in the other herd, 7 of which were corralled back into the pasture. What happened to that last one of the 8? One
of the bulls, they were having a difficult time with back near the farm. It was outside roaming free, and they had to put down one of the bulls. But the rest of the herd everybody went back into the pasture, and the owner got as many of his friends as he could get here. They tried their best on 4-wheelers. One of the difficult parts of buffalo is they're very dangerous. A fence means nothing to them. Just before I got here, the owner and the people who were helping got the animals to start to come out through this fence. They cut a hole in this wire fence right here, took gates and tried to channel them up. Then what happened is the animals took off right along this fence line here, and they just ripped it right down. They traveled right through it. So fences really don't mean anything to buffalo. They're a rather dangerous animal. I mean, you can't, most of the dairy farmers, you can go up and pet these cows and do that, but buffalo you can't. This isn't an animal that you can treat as gently, I guess, as you can horses and cattle.
Looks like you had some large fencing that they had down there. Was that in an effort to somehow contain them, or
the large gates that you saw is what they would use? And if it was cattle, you use them and you kind of corral. A cow sees a fence, they see a gate, and they know can't go through a gate. So what they were trying to do is get those buffalo. If you look right behind me, you can see the path. They were actually doing circles through this wooded pasture right here, and they were trying to get them to travel out through this spot right here that they cut open, and they were trying to basically run them up the road back toward the farm where they came from. And those gates were here, and I think they worked partially to get them to channel in the direction initially where they wanted to go, but then they took off to the west and went right down this fence line, broke through the fence and took off. And then they splintered up, even back in the woods. They splintered up into different groups or different parts, and unfortunately they'd be put down.
To track them and put them down, did you just use hoof marks, or how did you? It seems like with the wooded area, it might be difficult to track them down if they're splintering off.
We had this area very well surrounded. It was the owner and his had made the decision, and it was a tough one. That again, these were animals that he raised from little calves or at birth, and he with his partners, his friends, came out here and had to take care of that themselves. There was one animal that we had to put down. It was starting to move toward the more urban area. We had some of our snipers from our tactical team here, so they were in place. We blocked off the roads with squad cars and deputies, and we were out in the area really since early this morning working on this.
What happens now then? How are you going to get them all out of there?
Equipment is on its way here, and I think it's probably bobcats. Part of the issue is the snow, the mud. It's slippery. These animals are big. They're going to end up bringing them up here and then loading them into trucks and then hauling them away. So that's a process that's going to take several hours after this moment.
You mentioned it was a sad decision to put them down, but are you grateful that no people were hurt? It doesn't sound like anybody was hurt.
From the very first moment, and after talking to Tom, the owner, heard about it, his greatest fear was anyone in the community. So this was a huge concern on his part. And I mean, he's worked with these animals for many years, and it was also our department's greatest fear too, that it would get into the more urban areas and someone would be at risk. So this was a huge thing that weighed on the mind of both Tom, the owner, and our department, and that's why we kept people clear of the area. We put out a reverse 911 call to people in the area to be on the alert in case they were to get out into a neighborhood, or you're going out to your car and all of a sudden there were 8 buffalo standing in your yard. So we did a reverse 911. We notified the media so you get the message out right away. So making people as aware of the situation as possible is what happened for us today.
I'm good. Cool. Thank you for your time, Sheriff.
You're welcome. Now,
Appreciate it.